Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is SockBot, and today I want to talk about some really scary dreams. And no, this is not going to be a boring video about me talking about my own dreams, but talking about actually dreams, like the game Dreams, which hopefully you all know about by now. But yes, today we are going to be talking about specifically 3 dreams that I've played through recently that I felt enough about to make a video about, because I want to talk about what each does correctly, and more importantly, praise them for being 3 of the few complete games that I have played on the Dreamiverse. Now, there is one exception for one of them, because there's like kind of a caveat type thing for it, but I promise you it is finished in the sense that I'm going to talk about it as a finished product. You'll see what I mean. But if you do enjoy this sort of video where I go specifically into genres of games within Dreams, which is just an accident for this video, I just like horror, so I ended up seeing a lot of those. But if you like that sort of thing, let me know. Feel free to leave a like if you like this video, and if you want to see more, feel free to subscribe. Obviously, you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but wanted to remind you in case you did. And if you don't, well, hopefully you enjoy the video anyways. But yeah, let's talk about some scary dreams. So I know that this is a weird setup, and it's probably not going to be the best sound-wise, but, well, my mic's hooked up to my desk over there, so this is what we're doing today. But I also have an excuse for no backlight, because it's Halloween, and that was intentional. Anyways, we're going to, get started. So this first one I'm not going to show a lot of, because it's kind of more of an experience, but it is very interesting to me, and this is why I'm starting with it, because I really don't want to show too much of it, but it's super interesting to me, because the idea is you're laying in this bed, and you're basically just witnessing the events around you as you would some sort of night terror, or I guess sleep paralysis, something like that, and it's just such a unique experience because you can turn your head while you're doing this, and they set up the sound effects in such a nice way and the lighting in such a nice way that you inevitably do turn towards the action, but you don't have to look at it, and it just feels so immersive because of this. And for someone to take kind of elements of things like Outlast, again, that's something we'll talk about in the third game here, but to take elements like that and create something with even less control and less choice than that and still make it an interactive experience was very cool. But I don't want to show too much of this. Definitely go watch it if you like scary things. If you don't, don't watch this one. It's pretty freaky. But I don't talk a lot about experiences on this. I talk mostly about games on this channel, but there's one for you. So number 2 is this one, and this one's called Unknown. I actually played this in a stream once, but I couldn't open the door for some reason, and I think it wasn't finished anyway, so I'm glad that I waited. But I started this one off, and I was like looking at the clock going like extra quick, and like looking at the filter over the whole thing, and just the basic assets, and I was like, I was thinking about it as it started. I was like, I don't really like this. It feels like it's gonna be kind of silly. And the further I played into it, I was like, okay, well, it's not silly, but it kind of feels pretentious, like with this sort of filter thing and basic. I don't know. It reminded me a lot of the PT demo, which a lot of people thought was really cool. And I agree that it's really cool because you can go through the level and, like, depending on where you turn around, what you walk up to, what doors you take, whatever happens during that game, it does change the outcome of what happens, and you have to do specific things to get to the next stage of that game, and it doesn't hold your hand at all. And I think that's really cool, because the environment kind of changes around you without you knowing how it changed or what you did that made it change, until someone posts a walkthrough. But that's actually very similar to what happens in this game, and that is what was really cool. But initially I just thought it was kind of like this is black and white, scary, cool lights. I don't know. I was really unenthused about this when I started it. Maybe I was just in a bad mood, because it does look pretty cool. But so this part, I actually wasn't really. I was kind of confused at the time when I was playing through it. But I think when you walk through that door, you're supposed to kind of not really know what's going on and not be able to see anything. And then eventually, I think the door appears, or at least you can see again. Either that was me being really stupid and staring up or not noticing what's going on. I don't know, but I don't think it was. I think that was intentional. So I will say here, the found you note is on the screen right now. Kind of cheesy, but I think maybe that's why I didn't initially like this level when I was starting it. But it's It seems cheesy, but it's okay. But then right after it, hold on, I'll wait for it. So this part right here, walk to the end of the hallway, turn around, turn the corner, and the whole thing's changed. That was awesome. This is the point where I started liking the level. So right after that cheesy moment, we have probably the most interesting thing. And it's partially me thinking of as a creator, like, that was really cool that this person managed to do something like that. Although I'm sure I could think of a way to do it. It's just very cool to see entire parts of a level move like that. And now, here we go on to Mr. Creepy Monster Dude. And there again, the hallway changes. So first, I do want to commend that moment with the creepy monster dude. It was very cool, very well done, and you only see part of it. It's the only colorful thing so far, and it's red, so very like Sin City-esque, I guess. But it was really cool to see not only that, but that combined with the hallway lighting up and changing like that, and just completely changing the environment that you're in. And then here we are, halfway through the level, and you suddenly get a flashlight. And that reminded me that it's very creative that this person managed to make this creepy without using just the default, like, oh, survival horror flashlight type gimmick, you know? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that plays horror games and is like, give me something new. Give me a not flashlight. Give me a scary game that makes the lighting creepy without only showing 1/8 of the screen at a time. And yeah, I'm happy about that. So here we have the elevator scene. Now, if you know me, if you've watched me talk about this before, I'm terrified of elevators. I couldn't explain why, but, well, I probably could. I just think they're freaky. The elevators at my work when I actually worked at the office were frighteningly janky. And anytime there's an elevator scene in a game, it scares the crap out of me. And this one was no less. But then I went back in because I was like, oh wow, the elevator didn't drop? Huh. So strange. But I think kind of taking gimmicks like that and surprising the audience by making that gimmick like not a gimmick. Like anytime you go into an elevator in a horror movie, you think it's gonna fall because that's the obvious thing. So to have it not happen does build a lot of tension. And here, yep. So, final thoughts on this amazing, amazing game that I like. I initially said that the third one in this video was my favorite, and I think I still stick by that just because of the interesting experience I have with it. But for most people, this one will probably be one of the best games on Dreams right now, hands down, like in any category, mostly because of that ending sequence. For one, that amazing, amazing animation of the screen changing to look like the game had crashed. And if you play Dreams, you know it's not super rare that the game crashes because it's still in early access. But they made that. They got the music. And you could like tell almost immediately. Like it gave the effect of, oh crap, my game just crashed. But then immediately you knew something wasn't right. And then because it wasn't done absolutely perfectly, which is fine. I don't want it to look exactly like my home screen, but it shows up with the, oh my god, the banner. It was so creepy. And then suddenly you're back in the main room. And just the outro here with the text next to the door and the way that the unknown title screen appears is just so interesting and so well done. Amazing. Very, very amazing. I'm not sure why I had such negative feelings going into this. I think it was just there's a grainy filter over the entire game, and I'm not sure that was necessary in this one. It may have just been something added to kind of keep it creepy without having to put that extra bit of polish on the different assets they used, but I don't think it was necessary. I don't know. maybe the lighting with the big bad, because he was glowing red, that definitely made that cooler. But I don't think this sort of like grainy TV filter, I don't know if the grainy TV filter totally made sense past the intro and outro cards, where it works really well and looks really cool, but it just doesn't seem super relevant to the game, which doesn't mean that it matters, really. I mean, it's the artist's choice. The creator of this game gets to choose that they want to do that, and it makes sense to them. It makes sense to them, and it's part of their art, so who am I to judge? And again, that's why all of the other stuff in this game was just awesome. I thought it was really, really cool. Okay, so this one is very interesting. This is probably the coolest one in how I played through it. And obviously, as with the others, spoilers ahead, but this one was quite interesting, not just from how it started and the intro sequence, which is really, really cool and very kind of horror movie-esque, and very uniquely animated, but it was very well done. And I thought the coolest part was probably the beginnings and end of the level, with everything in between still being equally really, really interesting. But specifically the intro here, as you're watching it, was super, super cool. The amount of effort they put into all of the animations for the characters, it just seems like all of them were animated specifically for this scene. And so if any of this was, like, it's like that, right there, the dropping the pizza into there, I don't know. It's not perfect, obviously. It's not. I wouldn't say it's professional grade. I mean, maybe PlayStation 2 era professional, but not like current professional, obviously, because they have huge teams. But for the team that worked on this, and it was a few people, it's just amazing how much detail they put into this intro sequence when it's just an intro sequence. But super, super interesting.
Are you asleep?
No, I'm just sicking.
You look tired.
I know, I worked late last night.
I have your camera. Take it.
Thanks.
So as it gets started here, you can tell that this is very much based on Outlast. If not just based on it, I mean, they do reference it in the description. It does take a lot of inspiration from Outlast, which is really, really cool. And the way that they put in the light, the night vision, and like the UI over the camera, along with the zoom in effect from holding up the camera, is really, really impressive. And it might be from somebody else, not the creator of this level in particular, but it's just a really interesting and well done aspect of this level that you could use this for a lot of different games. For a lot of horror games, could essentially just use these controls and this character to make a very unique horror game. I hope that some other people take use of somebody that's made this character and put all this time into it. In fact, like I said, this might be one of them. I'm not sure specifically who made the character, but feel free to check out the level itself and see all the credits in their description. So something else I wanted to talk about was the inventory. The inventory management in this is actually really, really cool. I think that it's probably one of the best done that I've seen. It's not fully finished, but it's unobstructive, it's easy to access, and it's quick to use. If anything, I think it was a little bit, just a little bit wonky with switching between inventory spaces. But one of my friends that actually does work on game design outside of Dreams within the Unity engine, who actually posted a video about his game recently called Simulacrum, so feel free to go watch that review if you want, or definitely try out the game. It was a plug for Andrew, but it was one of the things that he complained about a little bit was the lack of system for creating these sorts of inventories, and the fact that you basically have to use workarounds, and it doesn't do inventories like a lot of other programs do for game creation. And I think this person does it really, really well, and it's very interesting how they managed to get it working so well. can tell by the amount of time I spent in this area how amazing I thought it was. I'm not even gonna say much about it. That was incredible. It was gorgeous. Oh, and there's the first jump scare. So as I go back into I think it's the bathroom here, especially because there was just a jump scare, one of the things I want to mention about this level is the fact that it is just terrifying. Like, I was legitimately frightened during this section and a lot of the game in general, even though I was playing like early evening. It wasn't very dark outside, but like opening these, I was scared. And that's good, because the horror games are supposed to be scary, even without jump scares. But it was frightening, and for a game to do that in Dreams, it's really impressive, because you have to kind of make it good enough to ignore, for example, kind of like the movements of the character here, and to ignore the general dreamsness of it, and make it scary despite all of that. And somebody did a great job here. They fantastically executed that. Yeah, as I walked towards this chair at the end of the room, almost peed myself. No scare here, just frightening. Okay, so I apologize. This is gonna be my favorite part coming up. He's just looking at the staircase to the third floor there, I think. But this was hands down the coolest part of this. I know it's gonna be hard to see. I'll try to crank up the brightness of this. It might just not show up because of the way the PlayStation filmed it. But you can see here that it starts to kind of like break apart, the level does. And as a horror game, when I was playing through this was the coolest part ever, because I see these edges out of nowhere, which in a hospital like this doesn't really make any sense. I think it's a hospital. It seems like a hospital. In a building like this, it doesn't make sense that there would suddenly be drop-offs and that the planks of the wood would just stop. But in a horror game sense, it did make sense, especially because the floor out there is red. And so I thought this was the point in the horror game where it's like, oh, you leap into this pit and then what happens next, you don't know. And it's supposed to be frightening. And so I'm going around here, like checking all these doors like you normally do in a horror game and trying to find the next area, because I remember sections like this, like in Outlast, in a bunch of other games, there are these sections that kind of become more ethereal and less realistic, and I thought that's what this was. Now, I'm going to spoil something here and say a thing now, so if you want to play this, please stop now or skip to the end of the video, but it's just not finished. I think the game is just not finished. That's what it seems like, because I couldn't find an ending to it, and maybe there was more of the level to explore, but I actually went back a second time to try to do that, and it seems to me like that is just a hole in the level, and then when you're walking around here, you are just outside the level. But the mechanics of the character, the camera, and the darkness around it really make this feel like, even when there's nothing here, even when it's literally not supposed to be part of the level, I think, still not fully sure on that, it still is scary and it still is impactful. And that, I think that shows so well how good the character is and how good just the lighting is in this game. It's not too difficult to take these and make a good level around them because they're so good. That being said, obviously, this is not as wildly interesting, and you couldn't do this for hours of gameplay, let alone minutes of gameplay. Because obviously, eventually I was like, okay, well, there's nothing here, so I guess I'll just sprint through all of it and try to find out what's going on here before I finally figured out that the level is just unfinished. And maybe I'm stupid for not noticing, but like right there, why would they make the platform break apart like that with those little pixelated bits? And what is this circle thing? I don't know. I don't know what it was, but it creeped me out, and I still thought it was part of the level, and maybe it still is part of the level, but yeah. So there, I fell off, and I think the level kind of glitched from here because I couldn't move, but I ended up rewinding and trying again. But this was really, really incredible. I'm just going to pause there just to give my final thoughts, because this was an amazing level, and I think it shows the impact that the gameplay and the character mechanics, the camera mechanics have on what can create a good game. Because although the environment's really pretty, it's very interesting, not a whole lot happens, but I was still very frightened throughout the entire thing. And mechanically, again, minus the inventory and the key system, all of this is very basic to create. And the fact that you could take this character and create a basic level around him means that all of the horror within that level comes, I think, probably 50 to 60% from the character itself and the mechanics surrounding it, and about the other 40% on the actual level and the lighting that you create to keep it creepy. But yeah, I think of all of them, I don't really have a favorite. I like them all as equal amazing games. But if I were to talk about the one that had the most impact on me, it probably was the Dream, where you kind of feel like the game is unfinished, but it's not really unfinished because I didn't think it was unfinished. And I kind of wish that you had maybe played through it before watching this video, so if you hadn't, I apologize for ruining that possible experience for you. But as always, when I do these videos, you're seeing the dreams in the video, so it's kind of like a game review. You're gonna see parts of it anyways, and I'm gonna talk about the different things in the dream without trying to spoil too much, but it was kind of impossible to not spoil this one and still talk about it in the way that I want to. But yeah, if you guys like this video, again, feel free to leave a like down below. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more, but no pressure as always. And I will talk to you guys in the next video, which is actually going to be a little Big Planet based. So get excited for that. And also happy Spoopy season because it's Halloween. I was thinking about doing some decorations back here, but if I'm going to decorate my apartment, it's going to be elsewhere because I don't want to cover all of this pretty stuff. Looking over there because it's the viewfinder, but yeah, if you have any Halloween decoration suggestions, let me know, but I have some plans, just probably not for right here. We'll see. Anyways, have a great day. I'll talk to you guys in the next video, and goodbye!